This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 9 in the National Football League. The final game of the Sunday slate of football games to break down here on Lockdown Coverage on this beautiful Monday. Heading into Monday Night Football, Seahawks hosting the Buffalo Bills to cap off week number 9. I'm going to break down the San Diego Superchargers and the Tennessee Titans out in San Diego. And man, what a contest this was. Over 80 points scored in this ball game. Two teams shooting it out. Were we over 80? 43 to 35? No, not quite. 43 to 35. I think we got to 78. That's what that sounds like to me. Either way, hell of a lot of points. A lot of turnovers, a lot of big plays, and we're going to break that thing down, man. The Chargers, their slow climb back to 500 continues. They seem to always have a hiccup in there somewhere. We'll see if they can find a way back to 500. They're now just a game under 500 after the tough luck start to the season. Somehow, some way, the Chargers got to find their way back to 500, and now with this win, they get to 4-5 on the season. We'll see if they can get there. It's a long climb and a long journey back to the Mendoza line. But that's what happens when you dig yourself such a big hole like the Chargers did earlier in the season. We'll break this game down here in a second. But first, if this is your first time on this channel viewing my content, where you been at, man? Seriously, you're late. But better to be late, and you can still be great even late. You know, better to be late than never show up. So welcome. I extend my warmest welcome to you, and I ask you to kindly hit that red subscription button for more great content on this network here, the Louie Tee Network in 2016 and beyond. I'm doing it big up over here, man, and I really would like it if you join me and help me change the game. One live feed at a time by joining me and my comrades as we break down the National Football League like no one else. I'm covering the entire league like a blanket. I want you to help me do that by joining me and subscribing to the Louie Tee Network. Also, I'm on Twitter at @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Keep in mind, Mondays, they're rough. A lot of random videos coming at you for lockdown coverage. You got to subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on the notifications. But the easiest, most efficient, and fastest way to know when I'm uploading a stream or when I'm going live is Twitter. Turn on those notifications. Follow me. You want to chop it up, talk football? I'm here for you, man. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and give me that follow. And also, I'm on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. Going to start doing some creative things there. Some of my series that I've had ideas about, I'm going to start putting them on Facebook as an exclusive outlet for that as well. So go ahead, put that thumbs up on Facebook, man, so you don't miss a thing on Facebook as well. So with that being said, let's break down this game. And if you're out there and you have a comment, whether you're on Twitter or on YouTube watching this live in the YouTube chat discussion, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on this program at the very end. So with that being said, let's break this game down. Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. We're talking Chargers and Titans. We're going to start with the road team as we always do and their likes in the first half, and that would be the Tennessee Titans in this game. Well, 4th and 1 conversion. They were desperate at the time, down 16-0. They needed this 4th down conversion, and I wasn't sure that they got it. Not gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I could have sworn they were short, but they got it, and they were able to turn that conversion into a DeMarco Murray touchdown, and that turn this game around. If they don't get that, they get stopped there. They come away with nothing. I think the Chargers might run away with this game, but they got the 4th-and-1 conversion. Later on, get in the end zone, 16-7, changes the tide of this football game. That conversion was by Murray. The touchdown was by Rashard Matthews. So they got on the scoreboard, which was the biggest thing there because the Chargers got out to a hot start in this game, and the Titans, they just seemed to be a little sluggish at the beginning of this game, almost as if they forgot that the game started at 1 o'clock. Maybe they were thinking, we're not used to playing at this time of the day. Maybe the game was supposed to be scheduled 3 hours before, and they're a little off. I don't know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. So in any event, they weren't ready at the beginning of this game. That 4th-and-1 conversion was huge by DeMarco Murray, and then the subsequent touchdown by Rashard Matthews to get them on the scoreboard. The late first half touchdown drive was a thing of beauty. Mariota was 6 of 7 on that final drive leading into the halftime break. It gets the team into the end zone. Rashard Matthews' second touchdown of the half, and this put them right back in the game. And the beauty of scoring right before the half, especially if you get the ball after the half, is that you can double dip. It's the old double dip theory where you try to score before the half and then turn around and score right there after. Normally, teams are just looking to get a field goal and then try to get the ball after the half and double dip. Well, the Titans, down 19-7, they double dip right before the half, get the touchdown before the half, a touchdown right after. And just like that, without the Chargers touching the football again, they take the lead in this game. So that is the extreme and the most efficient case you'll find of a team turning the tide in a game by double dipping. And the Titans did it to perfection there. That is exactly how you draw it up. And Mariota took his troops down the field, got them into the end zone. That was a huge drive to cut it to 19-14 at the halftime break. The red zone defense is the last like on my first half list for the Titans. If not for that red zone defense, I don't think this game is even close. And you could be talking about 26-0 before they figure out what the hell's going on. 27-0. Lambeau missed an extra point. So you could be talking easily about 26-27, depending on if he knocks down his extra points. This game could have been out of reach. I mean, the Chargers were moving the football with relative ease in the first half, yet they had to settle for some field goals in some spots where if they could have gotten into the end zone, this game may have gotten out of control in the first half. So give some credit to the Titans for some good red zone defense. They bent, but they never broke in the red zone early in the game, and that allowed them to keep close in this game and allowed the Titans to double dip and take the lead in the second half in the third quarter with that opening drive. Let's go to the Chargers in their first half likes in this game. The opening drive of the game. Phillip Rivers was sharp, and it was him and OG85 in sync as they've been throughout their illustrious careers together. And they were just moving the football down the field, and he was spreading it around. Dontrell Inman got involved very early on that opening drive, and they moved it right down the field. I mean, they made it look very, very easy. I said, look, if it's going to be like this today, the Titans might as well pack their things and go home right now if they're not going to play any defense, because that drive was too easy. No, it was too easy. And so they get in the end zone, and OG85, they hook up yet again. It's just what those guys do. They're both going to be in the Hall of Fame, and it's just beautiful to watch those guys do what they do. And I was hearing that this is OG85's last season. It's his swan song. It looks like he can still do it at a high level, man. I'd hate to see him hang it up. If he's still having fun doing what it is he's been doing for the last decade plus, if this is still fun to him, if he doesn't mind dealing with the off-season nonsense and the whole, the training camp and all, if that stuff isn't a grind for him and it doesn't wear on him physically and mentally, and he's willing to put up with all of that stuff in the offseason to come back and play, I think he can still do it because he looks good and he dominated in this game, especially in the first half. And so he's on my likes list in the first half. Speaking of which, OG85 on my likes list in the first half. He was the leading receiver in this game for the San Diego Chargers, and a lot of his damage was done in the first half of this game. That first drive, he was dominant. I think he might have had 3 catches on the opening drive, including the touchdown grab there from Phillip Rivers. So OG85 still getting it done. Of course, I'm talking about the original Gates, the original gangster, Antonio Gates, getting it done at a high level still for this Chargers football team. Start to the game is my next like. They were up 16 to love in this game, were the Chargers. I mean, they jumped out, and if not for the miss by Lambeau, it's 17 to nothing. And they were dominant early, and they really had it going offensively. Defensively, they're getting off the field, getting the football back to the offense. They had it going early in this game, and it looked like it was going to be a rout. I seriously thought that they were going to do what they did to the Jacksonville Jaguars earlier in the season and really destroy another AFC South team. That's what I thought was on the cusp of happening. And then they kind of settled in, did the Titans, and they started doing some things offensively, and they started moving the football, and then it became a football game. But the start to the game was impressive by the Chargers to jump out to a 16 to nothing lead. Melvin Gordon is the next like on my list. This is a guy that he just continues to get better and better and better. Almost eclipsed 200 yards rushing in this game. Almost had 100 at the halftime mark of this game. So he was running the football well. And the thing I love about Gordon the most, he's a 3-down back. He can catch it out of the backfield. He runs it, and he's extremely physical. We saw that at the end of this game, the tail end on that big run to seal the deal. That was a tough, hard-nosed, no-nonsense run, running through arm tackles, running over defenders, and getting up the field. And that's been his staple. And he leads the league in touchdowns for a reason, because this is what this guy does. He's physical. He gets through arm tackles. He powers through contact. Yards after contact are his calling card. And you saw it on that play late in the ball game. We'll talk about that when we get there. But I love Melvin Gordon the third. And this guy was huge in that 16 to nothing start to this game. Those are your first half likes for both teams. Let's move on to the dislikes in the first half for both teams. We start with the Tennessee Titans. If I love the start by the Chargers, then obviously I wasn't in love with the start of the game for the Titans. Their slow start is on my dislikes list. You're down 16 to nothing. To me, this is a situation where you're not good enough to fall behind and feel like you're just going to come on and flip a switch and come back. And even though you did take the lead in the third quarter after being down 16 to nothing, after being down 19 to 7, you still dug yourself such a big hole. Just imagine if you would have got started in this game earlier and not put yourself in a 16-point hole, had not put yourself in a 12-point hole when you were down 19 to 7, and then you go out and score 14 straight. It's a different ball game if you would have just played better from the beginning. So that start really hindered them, and they were kind of trying to dig themselves out of that hole the entire first half and into the second half. And when they finally got there, they're like, wow, we're ahead now. And before they could actually exhale, they were back behind, and they would never take the lead again in the game after giving up the next touchdown. So I thought that slow start took a lot out of them to try to get back to even with the Chargers in this football game. Then Marcus Mariota's interception is the last dislike of the first half. He threw it right to Casey Hayward. This is just a simple case of Mariota not seeing the field well. He sees Delaney Walker wide open up the sidelines on a wheel route, and he's thinking, okay, I'm winning here. And he doesn't see Casey Hayward sitting right there in cover 3, and he sags off of the receiver that's running an in-breaking route and falls right underneath, and his eyes were on Mariota the entire way. Mariota took him straight to the football. That's a case of eye discipline there. If you know you want to go to that wheel route up the sideline, you need to be looking that defender off in a different direction and then coming off to that. He stared that wheel route down the entire way, which took Casey Hayward right to the football and allowed him to make that interception that turned into a field goal, making the score 19 to 7. So there were some costly mistakes. That was the first of many for Marcus Mariota on the day that would hurt his team in this game. You go to the dislikes for the first half for the San Diego Chargers. Missed PAT by Josh Lambeau. Got to make you extra points. Again, you just don't put yourself in a position where you're chasing points in any given game. And even though the Chargers didn't chase points in this game like they did last week, which I thought was a mistake, they didn't chase points. They didn't have to chase points this week, but you don't chase points unless you have to in the fourth quarter. Don't miss extra points. Don't put your team in that position to have to chase points. Make your extra points. And I'm not sure if Lambeau missed the extra point last week, but I know there was a reason why the Chargers were chasing points a week ago. I know they had a snafu with a field goal. He may have missed an extra point last week as well that put them in a tough spot. Lambeau needs to start making his extra points. That's those points. That 1 point is costly if you don't get it. And now you find yourself in a position where you got to go for 2 later on in the game because you didn't take care of business at the beginning of the game. Penalties. Chargers had a ton of penalties in the first half of this game, like 8 of them, and they were costly ones, calling back plays and putting you in long down and distances. If you want to know the number one reason why they didn't sustain the success that they started the game with, look no further than penalties. They were moving the football, they were doing good things offensively, and then every time you look around, there's another penalty on an offensive lineman, holding. There's another penalty for something down the field. Gotta stop with the penalties. You could have put this Titans team away earlier without penalties. You made some mistakes early, and that allowed the Titans to hang around and ultimately take the lead in the second half of this football game. And then giving up the late first half touchdown to cut the deficit to 5 for the Titans at 19-14. You allowed Marcus Mariota to really just have free reins to do whatever he wanted to do on that final possession. 6 out of 7 was Mariota throwing the football, including the touchdown to Rashard Matthews, his second of the first half. Got to find a way to buckle down there and do what the Titans had done to you in the first half of this game, and that's force you to kick a field goal. Force them to kick a field goal in that spot. Don't let them in the end zone, and you did, and that allowed this game to be a lot closer, and you allowed them to double dip. Touchdown before the end of the first half, touchdown after the start of the second half, and you were down just like that in this ball game. So I thought that was a critical touchdown given up. If that's a field goal and then they go double dip and get the touchdown, you're still up 2 at 19-17 instead of being down 21-19. So huge touchdown given up late in the first half. Let's go to the likes in the second half from the Tennessee Titans. The opening possession touchdown of the second half. They moved it right down the field. Mariota runs it in. Beautiful extension of the football. A little dangerous. Got the football in the inside hand, stretching it out. But he's able to perform a Superman dive, extend the football, have it touch the pylon, get in. And it was a beautifully crafted drive by Mariota and company to get the football into the end zone and give them the lead at 21-19 after the extra point was banged home. So just like that, you go from trailing 19-7 to scoring before the half and after the half to boom, you're ahead 21-19 in this game. That would be the last taste of the lead the Titans would have in this game. But to be down 16-0, to be down 19-7, and to have the lead at 21-19, it had to taste good for the brief time that they had it for the Tennessee Titans. And then my final like for them in this game is overcoming the mistakes. Mariota made some crucial, critical errors, much like he did in Week 1 versus the Minnesota Vikings, where he gave up 2 scoop and score touchdowns in that game, 2 costly mistakes, I should say, 1 interception, 1 fumble that resulted in 14 points for the Vikings and a win there. Same deal here, an interception to the crib, a fumble that scooped up and scored. He cost his team dearly in this ball game with mistakes, but every time he would make amends by taking his team back down the field and getting them back into the game. And so overcoming those mistakes was huge. He wanted one more opportunity from his defense to get back on the field and potentially tie this game up with a 2-point conversion. They never got that chance as the Chargers put this game on ice with the run game late to secure the victory. But overcoming the mistakes is huge. You're going to have mistakes, especially as a young player like Mariota. You want to see him limit the mistakes. You don't want to see him fumbling. You don't want to see him throwing a pick six. But those things are going to happen. You want to see him mentally be tough enough to overcome those mistakes and not let them drag him down and his team down and allow them to be sucked into the abyss known as mistakes. And so they overcame those and made it a ball game. When this game seemed like it was going to get out of control late, they made a touchdown. Seems like a drive that resulted in a touchdown every single time to answer that bell, but they simply ran out of time in this football game, did the Tennessee Titans. Let's go to the second half likes for the San Diego Chargers. San Diego Superchargers. Scoop and score fumble by Dwight Lowry. Big play by Lowry there. Huge forced fumble by one of the linebackers on that particular play to get the football out. I don't know if it was Toomer or whomever it was. Huge play. Mariota gets to the edge, and they're able to poke the football free. Ball is bobbled, scooped up by Lowry, and he takes it to the end zone. Big play in the game. Anytime you can take the defense and get points from them directly, it's a welcome sign for any team, and it's a huge play because, again, this defense was not great on this day. The Titans did a lot of good things offensively against this Chargers defense, but like I always say, the great equalizer is turnovers, and if you can generate those, you can win in this league, even though and despite your defense not playing up to par. And the Chargers defense didn't play up to par in this game, but those turnovers were the deciding factor in this game. They were the great equalizer, and it helped them get this victory. Speaking of which, Brandon Flowers, pick 6, the next like on the list. He jumps the route. It's an outbreaking route. Mariota has to know better. You can't throw an outbreaking route towards the inside. It has to be to the outside. In this league, up here in the National Football League, you miss to the inside on an outbreaking route, it's a house call. Bring, bring. House call for Brandon Flowers. It's a house call up here. Phone's ringing, and somebody's going to pick it up on the other side of the field. Okay? You have to throw that outside, and he knows that. He just threw a bad ball, and he had to pay for it. In college, you can get away with that. It's not getting picked off. It's not getting taken to the crib. There's no house call. There's no phone ringing in college. If you make that mistake up here in this league, the phone's ringing, and somebody on the defensive side of the football is going to run and pick it up. And that was Brandon Flowers in this game. The next like on the list for the Chargers in this game, being opportunistic, forcing 3 turnovers of Marcus Mariota in this football game and turning them into 17 points. 17 points off of 3 turnovers will win you most games in this league. Turnovers are the key. When you win the turnover battle, it's been proven that you are more likely to win in this league. And when you're getting points, because you can cause turnovers. Turnovers are great just because you're stopping the other team from a scoring opportunity. So they're great in themselves that you're not allowing that team to possess the football at that very moment. You're taking it away. But what's even better is when you take those turnovers, that extra possession, and you turn it into points. Those are the teams that win in this league. And the Chargers did that in this game. So, that's a big one. And I apologize for the typo. I'm just seeing it now. I have San Francisco instead of San Diego. It's been a long day. I'm not going to lie to you. I made a ton of mistakes today. I'm not on my game today. I apologize for that, man. If you knew what I was going through, you'd know that, man, this man is grinding. So I apologize for that, though. I just caught wind of what I did. Matter of fact, it's not too late to change it. Let's change it while I'm breaking it down. I can see it, so why not make the change, right? Right. You guys are with me, so let's do that. So now that's done. I apologize, like I said again. But anyway, back to the breakdown. 17 points off a turnover is going to win you a game most weeks in this league. And finally, the last like for the Chargers in this game, closing out. We know that's been the issue for this team. Closing out opponents, finding a way to win at the end when you have a lead. Sounds simple, but for some teams in this league, they don't have a closer. They don't know how to close. They give up leads. They lose games they should win. Nobody's done that better this season than the Chargers. Losing games they're supposed to win, having leads and not being able to shut the door. That's been the Chargers' story of their season thus far. They were able to do that in this game. Huge run by Melvin Gordon III. And breaking tackles and on his way to an 196-yard rushing output in this game. That was the way to close it out and take knees. There's no better formation in this league than the victory formation because that means you're about to leave with a W in the left-hand column. Dislikes in the second half for both teams. We go back to the Titans. And you start with the costly penalty up. The costly penalties, there were 2 of them. Up 21-19 after you score a touchdown on your opening possession of the second half to take the lead. You got 2 costly penalties on 3rd down, automatic first downs for the Titans when they were going to have to, one time they were going to have to punt. The second time they're going to have to settle for a field goal. Both times resulting on 3rd downs, resulting in first downs that allowed the Chargers to get in the end zone with a Gordon run for a touchdown. And that was huge. That was huge. If you could have stopped them, forced them to kick a field goal, the first time you had them stopped where they were going to have to punt. The second time they would have had to kick a field goal. And in both situations, you just say, come on, guys, you can't have those types of mistakes if we want to win on the road. And so that would have made it 22 if they had to kick the field goal. Instead, they get the touchdown, go up 26-21. They would never relinquish the lead in this game again. Mariota scoop and score fumble by Dwight Lowry. Can't happen. Got to be a lot more secure with the football. Got to treat that ball like a precious jewel and not allow it out of your sight. Got to tuck it away, put it away, and squeeze it like your life depended on that football. He didn't do that in traffic, ball poked out, and Chargers take advantage of the carelessness of Marcus Mariota to give them a 33-21 lead in the ball game. And then the pick six to Brandon Flowers. You come back after that mistake Mariota made. You come back and you score a touchdown, cut the lead back down to 33-28. And just like that, you go up, you give out a field goal to make it an 8-point game at 36-28. And then boom, just like that, Mariota throws another interception, this time to the crib to Brandon Flowers, makes it 43-28. They would later go down and score a touchdown and cut it to a one-score game again at 43-35, but they would never see the football again as Melvin Gordon and that offensive line put this game on ice. So you go to the Chargers dislikes in the second half, and to me, it's allowing 35 points in the game, but more specifically, allowing 21 of those in the second half. This should have been a blowout. With all the mistakes that the Titans made in this game, you got off to the fast start. You put those two things, just think about this for a second. You put those two things together. A 16-0 lead at the beginning and 2 turnovers that directly result in 14 points for your team defensively. How is it that this game is an 8-point game? The only way that this game is close is if your defense isn't closing the door. And allowing the Titans to stick around and hang around with these touchdown drives, I thought the defense really had one of their poorest showings of the season. And this Chargers defense has been baptized at times this season, but I thought this was their worst showing because the Titans, I felt like, if not for the turnovers, the Titans might win this football game. There's no guarantee that the Titans are going to score in those possessions that they turned it over and it turned into touchdowns for the Chargers, but there's no guarantee that the Chargers offensively are going to score in those possessions either. The Titans were moving the football all game long, especially in the second half. Thought this defense didn't do a good enough job of getting them off the field and putting this game out of reach. This was one of those top shelf games. You take this W, you put it up on the top shelf and say, hey man, this isn't for you. This isn't for kids. These aren't for minors here. You need to bad back. Mind your manners and respect your elders. I'm going to put this on the top shelf. This isn't for you. And instead, you left it right there where they could reach it, right there where this win was accessible to them because you wouldn't put them away on the defensive side of football. Put this W up on the top shelf, man, so they can't reach it. This isn't for kids. And you left it right there on the shelf like a box of cereal where everybody can eat it. Put this game away, and I didn't think the defense did that in this game. With that being said, let's go to some of your comments. See what you guys have to say. All right. Captain Spartan 04 says, Ben and Rivers are going to be great offensive coordinators in the future when they retire. Neither one of those guys are going to be offensive coordinators. How many Hall of Fame quarterbacks have you seen turn to coaching? I can't recall any. At least not in this era. Guys that are that prevalent in their sports, they're not looking to be coaches. They want to own a team. Okay? They want to be in the front office of a team like John Elway, like Dan Marino. Like Jim Kelly, be an ambassador to that franchise. These guys don't want to be coaches. That's beneath them. Peyton Manning's not going to want to be a coach. He's going to want to own a franchise. He's going to want to be a GM. He's not going to want to be a coach. Captain Spartan 4 says, oh, he's telling them, okay, yeah. Thank you for doing that. Captain Spartan 4 says, I thought when the Titans drafted Austin Johnson, I thought their run defense would quickly be better, but I guess I was wrong. Is this because D. Jones is doing bad? Not really. They just had a bad game. They've actually been pretty good at times this season with their run defense, but they got gashed in this game, and I can't really put my finger on it. You probably have to talk to a Titans fan. They'd probably be able to explain to you a little bit better. I thought that I can tell you this much. In this game particularly, the tackling was porous. Melvin Gordon was running through arm tackles left and right. A lot of yards after contact. Go look at his yards after contact in this game, and you will find your answer as to why they struggled in this game stopping a run. I actually think they got the basis. They got the foundation for being a really good run-stop defense. All the parts are there. It's just all about execution, if you ask me. Captain Spartan 04 says, scenario question. Carson Palmer retires. Cardinals trade for Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates. I think the Cards need a tight end. Are they Super Bowl contenders again? No doubt. With the weapons that they have, come on, that'd be cheating. But just think about what you'd have to give up to get that. There's no way. Again, this is not NBA. This is not MLB. There's no way that trade is going to happen in this league. Too much would have to be given up for 36-year-old Phillip Rivers and 34-year-old, 35-year-old Antonio Gates. There's no way that happens, but it's fun to dream, right? Fun to come up with those crazy scenarios, but that's not happening. Eagle Speed is a nerd says, Chargers playoff contenders, or is that division just too good? They got a shot, man. And if you go look at their schedule, actually, I'm not saying, and I'm not one of these dudes that likes to look ahead. I hate that. One game at a time for me. But they've played just about all of their tough games. I mean, obviously, they still got to play Oakland once more, and they still got to play Kansas City one more time. But, I mean, they played Denver twice already. They've gotten a lot of their tough games on their schedule already out of the way. And remember, keep in mind, they played the AFC South. They've already played Indianapolis. They just played Tennessee. They've played Jacksonville. I think they still got Houston, if I'm not mistaken, and they got to go to Houston, and Houston's been good at home. We'll see what happens there, but they got a shot. Okay, they got a shot. And I told you, with Phillip Rivers under center, you got a shot. I'm not counting those boys out. You know how I feel about this Chargers football team. Captain Spartan 04 says, remember the Chargers trade up for Marcus Mariota rumors? Imagine what his game would have looked like. Rivers on the Titans versus former team. Yeah, I remember. I was leading the charge there. I honestly thought that was going to happen. I really did. I was so wrong about that. Craig Smith says, man, if we didn't, he said, man, if only we didn't have 18 players on IR. Chargers. It seems like it's like that every single year. Every single year. This team is ravaged by injuries. It is amazing. Every single year. And it seems like it's the same guys. Manti Te'o and Jason Verrett, one of my favorite guys at the cornerback position. Seems like the same guys every year down for the season. And the receiver, Keenan Allen, same guys every year. It's ridiculous. Andre Mogul says, do you think McCoy is out of the hot seat, or does a collapse at this point still torch him? If they don't make the playoffs, he's probably still going to get fired. You know, it's a dicey situation because you never know what the front office is actually thinking. Outside appearance is, oh, he's going to get fired, get rid of him. You know, Chargers fans want him gone. But, you know, Tom Telesco and company in the front office might be saying, hey, they got all these injuries. He's doing a great job with the guys that he has. Let's give him another shot. You know, you can never really tell what we keep saying. Jeff Fisher needs to be fired. Jeff Fisher, get him out of here. This man's about to get an extension. We keep saying Marvin Lewis, get him out of here. He can't win. Marvin Lewis isn't going anywhere. So you never know what these front offices are thinking. So it's really hard to say. Craig Smith says, yesterday was poetic justice. I've been taking flack from my MG3 fandom since the start of last year. What do the haters say now? Crickets. I love it, man. I love it because I, too, had to shoot down the haters with my little pop gun. Pew, 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 pew. Last year, they were calling the man Trent Richardson. I said, you got to be kidding me. But you know, that's how it goes. It's an instant gratification league. What have you done? I've got people right now telling me that the Redskins' first-round pick from this season, Josh Doxson, needs to be released because the man's injured and he can't play. It's amazing to me how extreme fans are. Either you're good and you're helping right now or you got to go. I don't get it, man. The guy, I thought he was behind a porous offensive line. There was no continuity. And biggest of all, he needs to have a fullback in front of him to be as comfortable as he would like. It just wasn't a good situation for him last year. And it wasn't beneficial for him, and everybody wanted to crucify the dude, and I thought he was giving it everything he had with the limited parts around him, and yet he got no sympathy from most Chargers fans. A lot of them were questioning. I don't know if all of them were killing him, but a lot of them were questioning him. Did we make a mistake? And then everybody on the outside looking in was like, oh, this guy's a bust. He's terrible. I love it. I'm glad that someone stood up for him, including myself, aside from myself, for him because he was taking some flack last year, and it's good to see him doing what he's doing now. Eagle Speed is a nerd says, Mariota sucks. He's a turnover machine, but at the same time, his O-line stinks. Now, Mariota doesn't suck, but he is a turnover machine. I told you he had that same problem in college. The interceptions weren't there because college defenses aren't as complex as NFL defenses, but the fumbles were there in college. And I told you guys about that. And I don't know if he has small hands or any of that stuff. I don't know how that stuff works and if he's one of those guys that has small hands. But he did fumble the ball a ton at Oregon. And I said I didn't see him making a lot of tight stick throws at Oregon. But really his biggest mistake is the accuracy with throws to the outside. We've seen some of those picked off this year. And then making some poor reads, not staring down receivers, and that's something you can't do at this league. I discipline. You got to take guys somewhere else to go where you really want to go with the football. He's still mastering that. He doesn't stink. He doesn't suck. He's just young, and he's still making a ton of mistakes. Captain Spartan 04 says, silly question, better fullback, Derek Watt or Jalston Fowler? Also, best fullback in the AFC West, Reese, Watt. Well, Marcel Reese is no longer an Oakland Raider, so you can take him off the list. Watt, Sherman Poe, or that's funny that you put Poe up there. Don Terry Poe, that is. Or Andy Janovich from Denver. I like Andy Janovich a lot. I think he's a little bit more versatile, but I'm going to tell you what, Watt is a lot more athletic than I gave him credit for. And I also didn't think he was a great blocker when he was at Wisconsin, but he's actually shown me that he can put a hat on a hat at the next level. So I like Watt a lot, but I'm more of a and don't sleep on Sherman in Kansas City either. He's a very versatile fullback as well, but I'd take Janovich in Denver because he can run it, he can catch it, and he's physical at the point of attack as well. But I wouldn't. Anthony Sherman is good in Kansas City. So is Chris Watt. I think he's a young and up-and-coming guy as well. And between Derek Watt and Jalston Fowler, Fowler is more of a plotter to me. Not as athletic as I would like him to be. I don't think you can do as many things as you could with, say, a Janovich or a Watt. Are we really having a fullback conversation right now? Are we doing this? I feel like a geek right now. Let me keep moving, man. Craig Smith says, Lou, you got to cut our D some slack. We were down to our 5th and 6th middle linebackers. Let's not even speak on the injuries to cornerback and safety. I hear you, man. I hear you. I want to say everybody's dealing with injuries, but everybody's not dealing with injuries quite like you guys are. It was just it was upsetting to see this team getting the turnovers and the start to the game and all of these points, and yet you're still fighting for your life up one score at the end of this game. That was frustrating to me, but you're probably right. I probably should cut you guys a little bit of slack due to all the injuries. Eagle Speed is a nerd says, think the Chargers field the field causes those injuries. They need a new stadium. They know that. They understand that that building is old. Their facilities are old. I don't know if the stadium and the actual turf itself is a problem, but because everybody doesn't get injured, it's certain guys, but still, bottom line is that they just need upgrades everywhere. Heights 1978. Greece from Greece. I love your work. Hey, I appreciate that. McCourty needs to move to free safety. McCain is horrible. Teams have been picking on him all season long, and he's been a detriment to this Titans defense. All losses are on him and Cox and Blake. Searcy is way too slow. We need a DeMarco addition at cornerback. Maybe you'll get that guy in the offseason next year. We'll see. But right now, you thought Cox would be that guy for you. He hasn't been very good either. So we'll see what happens with that secondary because you are lacking in the secondary right now. Andre Mogul says, yeah, I respect Fisher, but he's not the man in L.A. I'm not a Jeff Fisher guy. So that's how I feel about Jeff Fisher. I think I've been saying that Fisher, and I'm not one to advocate firing anybody, but I've been saying for a while that he needed to go. And so, but he's not going anywhere. So I've given up. Eagle Speed is a nerd says, the Titans still have a shot at that division, LOL. What universe are we living in? They're not going to win it, but at 4 and 5, they're still right there. I mean, isn't that the truth? They're tied with the Colts for second place in that division, but when it's all said and done, the Texans are going to win that division. By default, they're going to win that division. Captain Spark says, you have to, oh, he's telling people to use the hashtag. So with that being said, that's going to do it for me here. I thank you guys for joining me on this program. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on lockdown coverage here in the lab room on the Louie Tee Network. Chargers get it done 43-35 in a shootout. Chargers get to 4 and 5 on the season. Titans drop to 4 and 5 on the season. Both teams have an opportunity to get back to 500 with a win in their next game. Chargers have to find a way. And this is a big one. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, I believe the Chargers are playing the Dolphins next week. Don't quote me on this. But if they are, you're talking about a 4-4 team versus a 4-5 team. That's a situation where you're saying this could be for some playoff seeding implications, so forth and so forth. All right. Nothing's etched in stone in any conference. I think it's a little bit more etched in stone in the AFC than it is in the NFC. But if you keep winning, we'll figure it out when it's all said and done. Just keep stacking those W's up like bricks. We'll sort them all out at the end of the season. Chargers, 1 game away from 500, and ultimately you can't do any damage until you get to 500. They need to find a way to get back there. They're now 1 game away. Titans fans were getting excited. They thought their team had turned a corner. Then they go out on the road and lay an egg. 3 turnovers by Mariota did his team in, accounting for 17 of the Chargers' 43 points in this game. Titans fall to 4-5 on the season. That's going to do it for me here on lockdown coverage for week number 9 in the National Football League. You know where to find me after tonight's Monday Night Football game. Seahawks hosting the Buffalo Bills. You can find me right here on Monday Night Football Overtime. Until then, enjoy the football. See you next time. We're changing the game 1 live feed at a time. See you next time.